I think it just brings a lot of joy and happiness. It's a great excuse for people to get messy, have fun outdoors. And it's also quite a good excuse for, I know it's traditionally in India, it's seen as a time where you can flirt with others. So if you're playing and getting messy with colour outdoors, it's quite traditional, it's quite acceptable for you to smear, someone you've got a crush on or, your lover with some colour. It can be quite flirtatious.
I dig your colours, girl. Shades of life, a lot of you. Tell me what you see through your eyes of changing hue.
Hello and welcome to Season 3 of the Hello Colour podcast. My name is Momtaz. I'm a colour therapist, modern colour theorist and all-round advocate for the positive mood-boosting power of colour. In this podcast, I introduce you to the different aspects of colour, from the meanings of colours to how to practice colour therapy in your everyday life. Seasons 1 and 2 were solo casts, so that was just me chatting away. But for Season 3, I'm shaking things up, and I'm going to be joined by guests. So if you're listening on launch day, today is March the 21st, also known as International Colour Day. Now, we're also 4 days away from Holi, the Festival of Colours. This is an annual festival associated with India and the Hindu religion, but it goes beyond that and has been culturally adopted by people around the world. And that's going to be the topic of this episode. My guests, Jassi and Shai, run Bombay Funkadelic, an events and entertainment team who throw Bollywood-themed do's, including Holi parties, so they know a thing or two about colourful celebrations. So let's get into the festive spirits. So we know that Holi is the festival of colours, and when we've visualised it, if you've heard of it before, then you'll probably see the vision of people throwing coloured powders on each other and generally having a really good time. But what is this festival actually all about? I started by asking Jassi to explain.
It heralds the end of winter, going into the spring months. It's about blossoming new relationships, new friendships. And as usual, there's a lot of India festivals celebrate symbolically the triumph of good over evil. So you've got mythological reasons where we've got Hindu gods and goddesses celebrating Holi, for example, Radha and Krishna. It's more cultural than religious, and people celebrate within their families. And it's usually a 2-day festival. So the night before is celebration where families get together for a bonfire. They celebrate, have a puja, a prayer, and a bonfire at home or in their local community. And the following day is when the colour comes out and people are celebrating on the streets by throwing colour.
What is it about colour that can enhance festivities?
I think it just brings a lot of joy and happiness. It's a great excuse for people to get messy, have fun outdoors. And it's also quite a good excuse for, I know it's traditionally in India, it's seen as a time where you can flirt with others. So if you're playing and getting messy with colour outdoors, it's quite traditional, it's quite acceptable for you to smear, someone you've got a crush on or, your lover with some colour. It can be quite flirtatious. And usually, in Indian customs, it's usually frowned upon, but Holi is kind of like a good excuse to do it where it's pretty acceptable on the day. The coloured powders, they're called gulal. There's lots of different colours. They tend to be very vibrant: oranges, reds, yellows, greens, violets. Any dull colours, grey, black, white, they don't really get a look in. People mix it in big tubs, buckets, water tanks, and nowadays swimming pools. They'll fill up a swimming pool and people will just either jump in, have a splash around, or they use these, they're kind of like giant syringes. They're called pitchkaris. So you kind of fill up your pitchkari or syringe with coloured water, or even a water gun, water pistol, and you just go off and have fun with it. You aim it at people, get them wet. The colour will run off. All these colours are organic and they wash off very easily. They're not permanent stains. They're quite temporary colours. So, even if you get your clothes wet with colour, it's no big deal. They can be washed. I think Holi, it's pretty traditional to be dressed in plain white. So people are wearing white t-shirts, white tops, white kurtas, pajamas, the blank canvas, really. You treat it as the canvas, and you're going to get covered in colour multiple times throughout the day. There is no point in bringing, your colourful designer clothes on that day. People really will go for their cheapest, most cheerful white t-shirt. You can turn up in colour. It's not frowned upon. People do wear colourful kurtas, saris, etc. But they're going to get stained. They're not going to be the same colour you come in. Traditionally, the colours were made from natural ingredients. So, for example, the orange colour was made from marigold flowers or saffron. Beetroot was used for the red colour. And I think the pigments come from natural organic materials.
So it sounds like the colours were natural, they went artificial, and they've become natural again.
Yeah, I think that's the case. I think originally, hundreds of years ago to, I'd say, semi-modern time, they would have been natural ingredients, colours derived from plants and vegetables. And then with industrialization and, mass marketing of Holi as well in India, colours have been manufactured in factories. So there was a period where, and still it is, where colours are quite artificially manufactured in the way you would manufacture paint, wall paint, for example. And now I've noticed the last few years there has been a return to natural, organic, chemical-free colours, and people will pay a bit extra for that.
So, important question, and the one that I'm most interested in. Can anyone celebrate Holi? Throwing colourful powders in the air with your friends is a lot of fun. And though its roots are in Holi, it's an activity that's now been adopted by so many people around the world for different occasions. Is this acceptable? Can anyone celebrate Holi?
Yes, totally. It's open to all. And, I've seen at other events and our own Holi parties in London that everyone is welcome and people bring their non-Asian friends with them. So we've had Europeans, we've had South Americans turn up, a few African friends. And I think it's just one of those joyous occasions where everyone can take part. I don't think people need worry about cultural appropriation or, turning up and not understanding the significance of anything. It is a very light-hearted, joyful occasion. It's not too heavy on the religious side. I think those who want to celebrate Holi in a more religious or cultural way would be doing that more in their local community and at home. I think things like colour runs, colour parties have been very popular in the US and Europe for well over a decade. So I think, it's expanding and it's increasingly popular. I know it's celebrated over Asia, in India, Bangladesh, Nepal. But I've been on holidays in Mexico and Thailand, and I've seen Holi celebrated there. So I think it's kind of growing in popularity and people are understanding that, yes, it might have an Indian origin, but it can be celebrated globally.
Definitely sounds like Holi today is much more of a cultural festival than it is a religious one. In fact, neither of my guests are Hindu. Jassi is Sikh and Shai is Muslim, but they're both Indian, and that's the aspect of the festival that appeals to them. Shai has some thoughts on the matter too.
I came to it from a cultural perspective, and Holi feels as if it's somewhere that, Indian songs and, Indian food belongs. And it's just like, but it's, again, we're all coming at it from different spectrums. There'll be somebody who's just like, you can't have Holi and sort of, have alcohol served at that place. It's a religious festival. So, and, how can you not have any mention of Hinduism at this festival? How can it just be about music and Dhol and, dancing and everything? But everyone comes to religion generally and culture from their own perspective, and everyone has their own way of following it. that's one thing I'm very strong on, in that I honestly feel no one person should dictate how you follow a religion or how you follow a culture.
I love the fact that religion can be seen as such a conservative thing. It's generally formal, but there's this religion, Hinduism, and it literally has, right, we have a color festival. It kind of sounds insane. Like, this is like, as you say, a fun thing. So I think it's really interesting how the expression of this spring festival is color. And what are your thoughts, therefore, on sort of color as a way of like expressing ourselves? And in terms of, I mean, you see people like dancing away, like the Holi colors come out and they're like getting more in the vibe. So how does color sort of elevate celebration?
I mean, one of the things I love is it's as different, all of these different kinds of colors, it is diversity. And, you know, I've said this a lot, of like India being one of the most diverse places in the world, with so many religions, so many languages, so many dialects, and religions within those religions and everything, so many offshoots, everything. And it can be this amazing example of tolerance and humanity to the world.
Potentially, this is like a festival that could really connect people from all over the world. It's almost like you don't need any language to appreciate this, throwing the colors, welcoming spring. Is very universal.
Mm-hmm.
It's aesthetic and the way it's celebrated. So what are your thoughts on kind of taking something and making it available to everybody in that sense?
I mean, people will call this cultural appropriation, but in my mind, I'm fine with a white person wearing a bindi and a sari, and they look amazing, or a kurta pajama, and they also look amazing. It's just generally, I think everybody should be. I mean, am I culturally appropriating America by wearing a Captain America shirt? And it's just sort of like, unless you are ridiculing a culture, I personally don't have a problem with someone sort of like, celebrating Ramadan and sort of, seeing, oh, what's this about? Or coming to Eid and, breaking fast. It's just generally, I think, if we have something if something makes us happy or something betters us as human beings, or, yes, it should be open season on everything. We all have something to learn from each other. One of the things that I love most about Hinduism as a religion, which, is that it's the one religion, not one, but one of the few religions which doesn't have a closed book. It is supposed to be a religion where we do continue to learn, one that goes with the time. And it's not sort of like stopped at a certain point of history where this is the final book and this is what we're going to believe. And I feel in that sense and everything that, it should continue to go with the times, and Holi should be one of those things that continues to evolve, and we continue to sort of discuss what it means and how we can use it to be an example for a better world.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the first episode of Season 3 of Hello Colour. I hope you enjoyed our discussion about Holi. We've definitely learnt that this is a festival that people can adopt. It's just really important that you are aware of the origins. I think that's what turns it away from cultural appropriation, is if you understand what you're doing, you understand the roots, and you can explain that, but then you still have the freedom to celebrate it in your own way too. To find out more about Bombay Funkadelic's vibrant Bollywood and Holi parties, I've added a link in the show notes. I've also put a link in there to my book, Hello Rainbow, Finding Happiness in Colour. If you want to find out more about colour therapy, that's a great place to start. The show theme tune is by Cellophane Company, and you can find them on iTunes and Spotify. That's it for now. Please do subscribe and share this podcast with anyone else who might find it interesting. You definitely don't want to miss next month. I'll be back with another guest chatting all things colour. Take care and bye for now.
Bye.